The following is a hockey podcast out of Vancouver and Surrey, British Columbia. It'll only consist of a lot of puck talk and even more BS, or in actual words, banter and satire. Enjoy, and as always, go Canucks, go.
Do you want to play it safe, or do you want to get Mason McTavish? There's only one true answer, but Trevor, you sound cheap here, okay? For the first time in my life, yeah, I'm calling you cheap, Begsy.
You're Locked On Canucks, your daily podcast on the Vancouver Canucks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, speaking of cheap, welcome to another episode of Locked On Canucks. My name is Trevor Beggs, co-host of Locked On Canucks and also a Canucks writer currently with Daily Hive Vancouver. Before we dive into the show, we got to thank you for tuning into Locked On Canucks because it is your Canucks every damn day. And speaking of cheap, you can like and subscribe to this show for absolutely free, man. And by doing so, you could help me feed my family. Again, going for some home-cooked meals, no more Happy Meals. Sorry, kids. Before we get into it, we got to let you know that today's episode is brought to you by GameTime. Go download that GameTime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. It's all the rage nowadays in Vancouver. The great debate. Should the Canucks sign Jack Roslovic? Or should they trade the farm for Mason McTavish? Let's get into that debate to kick off today's show once and for all. Should the Canucks sign Jack Roslovic or trade for Mason McTavish? Get involved in the comments. Let us know what your thoughts are. We'll get into it. We'll also get into potential trade packages for Mason McTavish. One might call it a McTasty trade package. We'll talk more about Patrik Allvin's balls. Kyle Bowen's turning into a star, man. Another hit on CBC. All that and more coming up on today's show. Before we get into it, let me introduce my co-host. Man, oh man, got on CBC for a third time. Kyle Bowen, what's going on, brother?
Yeah, I don't think they've ever scanned through my social media profiles. You know? Or maybe times are changing. Again, Shane Gillis on ESPN/Disney did what he did a couple days ago. You know what I'm saying? Maybe we're going back to the 90s. Hey, speaking of which, rest in peace, Hulk Hogan. That was news. Also, there's news in the hockey world, too. Maybe we'll get to that at the end of the episode. Yo, just a busy time in the world of sports, and here we are talking about Trevor being cheap. Yeah, I feel bad for your wife, Trevor. I'm not going to lie, man. I can't believe you called me this morning, and you're like, you know what? The Canucks, just take Roslovic over McTavish. McTavish is going to cost too much, too many trades, too many moving parts, too many prospects. Boom, bam. Like I said, I feel bad for your wife. Let me assume she pays for 51% of the meals, Trevor. Does she do that? Look out for dinner?
I pay for, okay, let's get one thing straight, right? When you become husband and wife, everything is shared, man. So yeah, you call me cheap in that way. But I'm picking up the tab 100% of the time. My wife has my credit card, okay? I don't have her credit card, okay?
Oh, okay. Well, Trevor, whoa.
Hey, you want to slap some cards and balls on the table? Let's go.
I don't want to get you in trouble, so you just shut up, okay? God, she has my credit card, but I don't have hers. That's something else, man. I've never heard of that one before, man. That's nuts. Speaking of nuts, Trevor, I do think you're nuts. I do think that, like, you got to take the swing. Maybe you're not super, 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 super high on Mason McTavish, but if he's available, excuse me, and you have a glaring hole at 2C, and he also has other characteristics that make him more appealing than other types of second-line centers, and he's only, 22 years old, if I'm correct?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you do a lot to get him. Like, you don't have to hold on to Leckermack and Willander so closely. Like, one or the other has to go. Maybe you package you definitely package Niels Höglander in there too. I know it's costing you a lot, but to me, Mason McTavish is sexy. He really is, and the Canucks need that. They need that, and he's the ultimate replacement for JT Miller. And look what you're doing here. You're like, nah, let's play it safe. Let's just, save our money. Maybe wait till next year to do a splash. Let's go down the free agency route and get Jack Roslovic. Like, what happened to you, financial advisor? I know the economy is trash right now. Maybe you guys are having different types of meetings and practicing other types of cliches and mantras, but don't let it get into that hockey brain of yours, okay? The Canucks need success, and McTavish brings that, man. I truly believe that.
I like how you're bringing the fire into this episode, man. Calling me cheap, saying I'm Team Jack Roslovic, and you know what? I'd love to go against you and make the argument here. I think all I was saying on the phone this morning to you, buddy, was the
Mhm.
fact that, oh, by the way, if you say buddy to someone in Australia, apparently they take it as an offense, just
What?
for those out there, man. Yeah, I called the guy buddy, and he
I call my
was like, "Oh,
girlfriend
just
buddy.
slow down." What's
I
that?
call my girlfriend buddy. But
Yeah,
I do
it's
that for different reasons. I do that so she can get used to the fact that our future son is gonna be named Buddy.
that was Bobby. But anyways,
Yep.
yeah, I would love to throw down and be like, oh yeah, it's have a debate. Let's Roslovic versus McTavish. But look, I think the argument, all I was saying is you can get one player for free, right? All you gotta do is sign to a contract. The other, not only do you have to sign to a contract, but you're gonna have to trade a massive package to get him, right? So there is a debate there, but Kyle, the debate is pretty short, I think, because if you can get Mason McTavish, it does depend on the cost. He is by far the guy the Canucks got to target, right? I mean, this is a team, we've talked about it, for the last couple of weeks, firmly entrenched in the mushy middle, right? I mean, no one's out here saying that Patrik Allvin is one of the best GMs in the NHL. He's either mid, or a lot of people think that, maybe it's on the hot seat. Maybe we'll get into that later this offseason, depending on the rest of the work he does here. But Roslovic, again, the reports are there right now, looking to sign a 2 to 3 year deal around $3 million. Like, that's a discount for Roslovic. Like, I think his value is around $4 million, right? Like, he is a good middle six player, but Mason McTavish has a chance to have that JT Miller, Brandon type impact.
Mhm.
Stupid for the Ducks to trade him. I still don't really see this happening. I think Roslovic is the much more likely scenario for the Canucks, as much as people don't really want to hear that. But if you can acquire Mason McTavish, you got to do it. Now, Kyle, it does depend on the package, right? And we've talked about it before. Like, that Brandon Hagel trade was 2 first-round picks and 2 younger roster players. I think what's probably the most likely, and this isn't going to be an original trade package, it's probably the 2026 first-round pick. It's probably Tom Willander, and it's probably one of Nils Höglander or Filipino. Do you think that even gets it done? And I'm also going to say, like, between Höglander and Hedel, because basically one of those guys has to be included to make the math work. Who would you rather keep if you're the Canucks between Höglander and Hedel?
Heel. That's easy.
Wow.
What do you mean, dude? That's easy, dude. And I'm a Höglander guy.
Really?
But they're just way too many inconsistencies in his game. And Hedel's an actual play driver. He wants to make things happen. Again, we got a short sample size, but I just feel like he's that guy. So if they can get McTavish for Höglander, Willander, who I really like. Again, I really like Tom Willander, and a protected first round pick, like if the first round pick is a first overall pick, like, we get to keep it and it'll just carry over the next year. Like, if they can actually do that, I'm doing that ASAP. I'm doing that tomorrow. But I will say this, and not to poo all over this conversation. You got to believe that there probably is like 1 or 2 other teams that have a better trade package than that, unless Anaheim does truly look at Tom Willander the same way we kind of do too, where he's like, yeah, this guy does have top 2 potential.
Yeah. Well, I think of a team like the Minnesota Wild and with the Marco Rossi situation, like, they're not in love with Marco Rossi. If they don't like Marco Rossi, they could use a second line center. And they got one of the deepest prospect pools in the NHL. Shout out to Judd Brackett, man, former Canucks legend. Based on most outlets, the Minnesota Wild easily have a top 5 prospect pool in hockey right now. Now, the Anaheim Ducks, again, one of those teams that probably wants to start winning games. They got Joel Quenneville in the helm now. They missed the playoffs for 7 straight seasons. And yeah, this deal with the Canucks that's proposed is, Willander and Höglander, Hedel, and that 2026 first. I think the 2026 first is different just because it's considered such a deep draft. If you're the Canucks, you got to top 3 protect that at least.
Yeah.
Beyond that, though, I don't know how much more protection you can add because you'd be really hampering the value of that pick. But yeah, I'm still not convinced that gets it done, Kyle. Like you said, like, other teams could put together better proposals. Now, like, what is the max deal that you would do for Mason McTavish? Because it could start to get stupid when you think about that Brandon Hagel trade package. I don't think 2 first gets it done because Chicago was clearly trying to tear it down at that stage. Anaheim, they've torn it down and they've been trying to rebuild for a while. So I don't think 2 first gets it done. But yeah,
It's
what is
probably
that maximum trade package?
It's probably like, instead of Höglander, it's Hedel. It's probably like Hedel, Atu Ratu, Willander in a first or something. right? Or Willander, Ratu, Niels Höglander in first. Now I want to ask you this. Like, I actually want to turn it over to this because that's what we're doing here, right? Like, tell us like your biggest package, or like tell us what your biggest package looks like. Okay, show us your biggest package for Mason McTavish. Don't show us your biggest package, but talk about the trade proposal you'd have for Mason McTavish. Okay, I don't want. Okay, no, Trevor, stop. Okay, no. But can I ask you this now? I wonder what it's like around the league, and I don't know if like the rest of the league does have the film on DPD, but Trevor, who would you rather keep, DPD or Tom Willander? Honestly, no, honestly, like you're thinking about it a little, right?
Yeah. Well, it's funny that we talk about DPD being this like absolute untouchable, and I think part of it is
Alvin said it. Alvin said it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think a big part of it is, DPD's trade value is lower than Willander's, and they just like the physical archetype of player. Look, Allvin was that player, albeit less talented when he played hockey, right? He was a physical, in-your-face, stay-home defenseman, right? So he's probably got a little. He's seeing himself in DPD. You know what I mean? Between the two, like the emotional guy in me wants to say DPD because he was fun to watch last season, man. He was physical. He was in your face. He actually skates pretty well, moves the puck up the ice well. The using my head, I would go with Tom Willander though. Like that just makes more sense. He's got the higher ceiling. He's got more, Brock Faber like potential. He's the one that's got higher upside than DPD. But I mean, he's got higher trade value too. I mean, that's the catch-22. So I don't know if that answers your question. I'm pretty torn on that. I mean, again, emotional guy wants to keep DPD. If I'm thinking rationally, I'm probably keeping Tom Willander.
But I wonder if Canucks fans can stomach losing Tom Willander more so than we thought we would a couple of years ago, knowing that, Mancini, Karatsev, DPD, did I say Mancini? I think I did. Suarez Mignot, like they're in the system, and maybe none of those guys get as good as Tom Willander, or maybe one of them do. For real, because Mancini and DPD look comfortable at times in the NHL level, especially DPD. So it would be a tough blow for the Canucks to give up and lose Willander. Because again, I do think there's a really good player there. I think there's somebody that's super, super serious about the game of hockey too. A quote unquote good leader, but you're going to have to give to get. The Canucks don't have a deep prospect pool. They don't have a lot of players with that cachet, that value. And at least if you are giving up Willander and co for McTavish, at least McTavish does also bring in those intangibles too. Like hockey nerd, good leader, says all the right things, seems low maintenance. And yeah, Trevor, like to touch on that low maintenance point, if you can get similar like 70 to 80 points a year out of Mason McTavish down the road, but he turns into a really good playoff player. I know it's not 100 points or 90 points like JT Miller, but then that's your JT Miller replacement. It's like they look the same too. They do.
Yeah, they do. I mean, look at this guy, man. Come on, look at this. Look at this sexy dude, man. Unbelievable, man. Bringing fun to Vancouver again, man. Grizzled, unbelievable. Let us know in the comments again. What is your trade package for Mason McTavish? Do you think the Canucks should target Mason McTavish? I'm just based off the comments, based on what Kyle and I said. Mason McTavish, trading the farm for him makes more sense than adding a guy like Jack Roslovic to this team if they can pull it off. Kyle, on the other side, I'm going to throw another curveball your way in terms of debates for players the Canucks could get on the trade market. And we'll keep talking about your Vancouver Canucks here on Locked On Canucks. Before we get back to the show, let's shout out our friends over at It's Game Time, baby. Have you ever decided last minute to go to a game, Kyle? I mean, Kyle, I feel like you live your life making last minute decisions, no?
Dude, what the hell? You been talking to my girlfriend lately or what?
I have, man. I have, yeah. I have.
So that's something that she would say about me, Trevor. So sometimes I go to you to not, think about my relationship, Trevor. So now you're taking the same shots that my girlfriend likes to take. So shout out to Game Time, buddy.
Yeah, well, that's why my wife calls you my work wife, man. I'm here to give you a hard time, man. But if you wanna take it easy, come catch a game with me, man. Let's go get the tickets on GameTime, okay? Vancouver Canadians season is in full swing. Vancouver Whitecaps, they're making some noise. And of course, the BC Lions, man, my beloved BC Lions, playing this Sunday against the Hamilton Tiger Cats at BC Place. Whatever tickets you want to get, make sure you get them on GameTime. And remember that the closer you get to the game, prices can actually drop as much to 60% off. Man, oh man, it's deal season, baby, with GameTime. So make sure you take the guesswork out of buying tickets with GameTime. Go download that GameTime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Download the GameTime app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed.
People, we back doing this, and that's talking about your Vancouver Canucks and doing this whole McTavish versus Roslovic thing again. I know it's redundant. I know, but it's late July, and something tells me that there is some smoke to the McTavish rumors.
Yeah, Patrick Johnson reporting about it yesterday as well, right?
What he did? What do you mean?
He wrote an article for the Province just saying that, it was mainly based on Roslovic, but he ended it off. What a cliffhanger by Patrick, man. He's an
I didn't know
OG.
this.
But yeah, he basically ended his article saying the Canucks still have interest in McTavish, but kind of question whether they could afford him or not.
Yeah. And do you think he alluded to the money or, again, like the package? Again,
The package.
Yeah. I've been living on this earth for a long time, and the Canucks have sucked for a long time over the last decade, and it's crazy how that hasn't led to the biggest package. And for once, Trevor, I just want the biggest package. Out of every other package out there, I would just love to, Trevor, can I just live through something I cheer for, something I love, having a big package one day, please? Anyways, let's get to some comments. We got a comment from Roma Ticklin saying, you'd mortgage the future for McTavish. You're giving up way too much for him. And then Trashy is responding to him saying, why do you give AF? You know what that means? You know what that means? Why do you give
a fart?
Yeah, why do you give a fart about how many prospects we lose? He is worth it. I kind of agree with Trashy. I mean, how old is Mason McTavish again, Trevor? He's about to turn 23?
Exactly.
And how old is Willander? Like, he's about to turn 21, 20? Like, I guess he's 20 now.
Yeah, he's gonna. Well, he won't turn 21 until February, so he's 20
and
right
how,
now.
how old is Lekkermacki? He's about to turn 22.
Yeah.
So it's like, come on, guys. You know what I'm saying? But one thing I will say,
Lekkermacki just turned 21.
He just turned 21. So we're trading like a 21-year-old at a first-round pick and Höglander or whatever for McTavish. Again, I think it's worth it. I think it's worth it. I think we saw. Let's center in on this. Okay, we saw how much Rutherford and Allvin loved JT Miller. In fact, they talked more highly about JT Miller than they did than Elias Pettersson at the end of the year. Like, they spent more time co-signing a player that wasn't even on their team anymore because they love that prototype of player. Let's see what Florida did in their playoff pursuit over the last couple of years, right? And other teams just having bigger bodies and grittier players who can bring the offense. And McTavish has that mold. I'm telling you, they are targeting him. They want him. And I just wonder how far they're willing to go. And Trevor, Allvin and Rutherford getting up there in age. Allvin, dude, you wrote the article. People are hating you on it, and people are loving you on it because Allvin's now officially been here for a long time. If we're fast forwarding 12 months from now, that would be what, 4 years, right? You would say,
I got hired in January of 22, so it's been 3.5 right now. Yeah,
3.5 right now, but by the end of next season, it'll be just 4 years plus, and that's a long time for general managers in a sports team, or in a sports organization, especially if you're not making the playoffs. I wonder if they get desperate and they're like, screw it, take Lekkermacki and Tom Willander.
Damn.
No, honestly, isn't that the Hagel package in another sense? Like, do they have to throw in another? I know it's a lot. It's very much a lot. But I wonder how desperate they get.
Yeah, because they do have to throw in a roster player to make the cap work, right?
Yeah.
So, and I would say that the 2026 is going to be a valuable pick, but arguably more value on Willander and Lekkerimäki because they're more developed and they're closer to being NHL regulars. And again, I think there's probably a bit more hype with Tom Willander. But I mean, both are great prospects, to be honest. So, Kyle, I want to throw a bit of a curveball into this conversation. All right, so let's run the segment, man. Let's go. Begsy versus Bowen, potentially. Still lots of smoke over the past couple of days about Dallas Stars forward Jason Robertson. Okay, still available.
Ooh, there
on the
you
trade
go.
market, potentially, according to some insiders. Kyle, I wanted to pose you this question. I mean, let's say the packages are similar for Mason McTavish and Jason Robertson. Which player would you prioritize trading for?
I'm asking ChatGPT if Jason Robertson can play center. Why are you laughing?
Come on, man, ChatGPT. I was going to say I'm too old for that, but I guess you're older than me, man. Unbelievable.
I am older than you by a couple weeks.
I'll be damned.
That's a difficult question, but I think it's an easy. There still is an easy answer, and it's Mason McTavish because he's younger, and based on where the Canucks are in their success rate, you kind of need to like play it a. I know it's ironic because I was trashing you for playing it safe, but it's like you got to play it a bit safer. And you get the center. You get the center that's younger, you know, as opposed to the winger who's what, 26, 25, 20.
Yeah,
26?
Jason Robertson. I believe he just turned 26 actually a couple of days ago, man. Happy belated.
Yeah, there you go.
Jason
So
Robertson.
26 is not old by any means, but I feel like until the Canucks are like if they made the playoffs this year and got more playoff experience and added that to their resume, then maybe I'd be more open to like acquiring a winger and paying a premium, like a similar premium we'd pay to get like a young center that was former number 3 overall pick, who again, he's you know somewhat lived up to like that pick considering he's on the Anaheim Ducks. He's done a good job. Yeah, I'm picking McTavish. I know you, Jason Robertson. I don't know if if you're half, like if you have a lot of close Filipino people around you. I love Filipino people too. They're my favorite people. That's about underneath Fijian people is probably Filipino people, and that's saying a lot because my girlfriend's Punjabi. But Filipino people are really nice. Okay, I got mad love for them. Okay, but I don't know. I gotta say Mason McTavish, man.
Yeah, shout out to all my Filipino buddies, man. Maybe I do get the Filipino bias here. Look, Jason Robertson is the riskier move than bringing in Mason McTavish because I think it depends on this too, right? If the Jason Robertson trade theoretically was a sign and trade, right? Because he's extension eligible right now, then there's less risk there. But I think with Mason McTavish, like you basically got to sign him as soon as you trade for him, right? Like it will be a sign and trade if he does get dealt from the Ducks, right? With Jason Robertson, that's not necessarily a guarantee. Now, if you trade the farm for Robertson and get him for a year versus trading the farm for McTavish and getting 7 years, there's a big difference there, right? But Robertson is the better player, right? You got a guy in his prime, a guy who's hit 100 points, who even on a down year last year had like 35 goals and 80 points. Battled some injuries in the playoffs, maybe wasn't his best self, but man, I know this team has a dire need for center, and I get the horniness for Mason McTavish here, right? 22 years old, the next JT Miller. Jason Robertson is the better player. I think he's better defensively and he's better offensively.
4 straight seasons of at least like 80 points. I mean, in 22, he had 79 points, but in 74 games, and that included 41 goals. I can't argue. I can't argue that theory so much because of, again, the stats and who he is and what he brings offensively and his cerebralness and his intelligence and a winning player too, like playing in Dallas. Like he's going to bring something to the table here. The center thing scares me, but I wonder if, and we had this conversation weeks ago, like, is there a solution? And this is like reverse psychology, right? Like this is against the grain because, you got to win with you need 3 good centers. You need to win down the middle. That's how you have success. Well, Trevor, like, I wonder how much a guy like Philip Hedl could benefit if he's the 2C, if he has Jason Robertson playing with him.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And I think it allows you to push other guys down the lineup too right now. Jason Robertson, I mean, the guy I'm looking at to push down the lineup is probably Evander Kane. Like the Canucks are relying on him to be in a top 6 role, which
sometimes I forget we have this guy. I'm not gonna lie.
Right, like, but to add another big body guy in Jason Robertson, yeah, he's not Evander Kane. He's not gonna, necessarily like get in your face and be scrapping guys, but he's a legitimate elite first line winger. And all of a sudden, now you got a top 6 that has Robertson, Besser, Garland, and DeBrusk. To me, that's a lot more dangerous than having Evander Kane in that mix. So, yeah, I would say that if you could trade for Jason Robertson, similar package, like let's say it is a 2026 unprotected first or top 3 protected first, Nils Höglander and Tom Melander. I don't think that even gets it done for Robertson. I'm not sure that gets it done for McTavish, but I think that starts the conversation. And again, if the packages are similar and you can get an extension for Robertson in place, I'm probably choosing Robertson over McTavish. But I get the argument for McTavish. He's a center. He's younger. There's more runway. There's more potential. But the Canucks with, Quinn Hughes, 2 years left till his contract's up. His management team has shown a tendency to be aggressive and impatient. Jason Robertson probably fits the mold if he's available a little bit more.
Something to think about, man. Something to think about.
We're here,
man. We're here. Like, we'll see what happens, man. You got to believe a couple things. You got to believe something's going to happen soon. And you also got to believe that it's probably Roslovic. I know we haven't talked about him in like 20 minutes, but it's probably him, considering that like every day that goes by, I wonder if he's closer and closer to signing the Pius Suter deal of 2 years ago. Honestly, like I wonder if his options are so slim right now. It happens. It happens to players. Like, it's not that they take discounts. It's like, yo, that's just your value. That's what you're known. That's your known value around the league. So, something's going to give. We'll come to a conclusion. We'll find out what the forward group's actually going to look like going into the season. And I think we need some of that stability, because all this assumption, all this NHL 26 GMing, it's making me miss video games, making me a little jealous, and also just making my head hurt because the redundancy, man. Like, what is going to happen with your Vancouver Canucks, Trevor?
Great questions, man. And we'll figure it all out here on the other side on Locked On Canucks.
People, we back doing this, and that's, reading your comments. Look at this comment from Hans Dryden, okay? 20 games of the season, the Penguins will give up and join the McKenna sweepstakes, making Raquel available. Vancouver loves a Pence trade. So he's talking about Rickard Raquel. I did the Google search. I did the ChatGPT search. Trevor, if you can pull it up quickly, because I couldn't find the exact stats, but apparently, allegedly, assumingly, presumingly, one or the other, Rickard Raquel can play center?
Has not happened regularly throughout his career, that's for sure. But
it hasn't.
I mean, obviously had a nice bounce back year with the Pittsburgh Penguins last year, putting up some minutes. Let's check it out, man. Okay, so Rickard Raquel has not taken more than he took 50 faceoffs last year, maybe.
Oh, okay.
He basically early on in his career, like as a 21-year-old, 22-year-old in Anaheim, he was a centerman. Since then, he's pretty much been a winger for the last 10 NHL seasons.
Okay, so that puts an end to that debate. Nice try, Hans Dryden. I don't know if you're Rickard's agent, but next. Well, you found something? Did you want to say something?
Oh, I was just going to say, based on Hans Dryden's photo, he looks like he could be Rickard Raquel's agent, man. That's a sharp-looking guy there.
There you go, man. Got that headshot, man. There's some beef in the comments, too. Like, people are just... It's interesting to see, like, how... And it's crazy. I know, like, quote-unquote good podcasters aren't supposed to do this, but I see both sides. Like, the Canucks have been so bad for so long. Why would you want to be open to giving up prospects to bring in new players in? Like, just ride the course. Just hold on to, like, every player that you've been developing and just take that approach until you see some, like, sustained success, and then you make some moves. But on the other side, if, like, a 22-year-old number 2, potential number 1 center too, like, who knows what Mason McTavish's full potential is. Like, he might, again, when we compare him to JT Miller, it's like JT Miller was a number 1 center. Like, maybe the Canucks want to go back to, like, potentially having that option where they have 2 number 1 guys. Like, you got to pay the premium for that. It is what it is, Trevor.
Yeah, and I'll bring up one thing quick, just, digging into Mason McTavish's stats a bit more. Mason McTavish had one of the highest percentages of defensive zone starts in the NHL. And his defensive zone metrics weren't great. Mainly that was based on the teammates he played with on the ice just being terrible and facing some of the toughest competition out there. But Mason McTavish still put up, 20-ish goals, 50-ish points, while starting like one of the highest percentages of defensive zone starts in the NHL. So if you have this guy in a role where has more offensive opportunity, like there is some pretty interesting potential for him to pop off.
I believe so, man. I actually know so. I know so. I guarantee it. If the Canucks fans will be scared. And again, Tom Willander may turn out to be someone prominent in the NHL. Like he might make Anaheim a better team. We have to touch on that too. Like, why would Anaheim give like a future captain-like player to the Canucks in the same division? Blah, blah, blah. We may regret it. We may regret giving them a potential captain type guy, and Tom Willander. You got to give to get, but there's a heck of a player in Mason McTavish. There's a reason why a lot of people in the hockey world are like, yeah, if he's available, you got to get him. Hey, speaking of being available, I don't want to make no jokes here. Okay, I don't want to be funny here. Serious stuff. Trevor, get your serious face on. Carter Hart is available now, right? I know you're the smarter guy than me, Trevor. Can you confirm like the verdict went down? Like it's a no contest. They found like the judge found the accusations. I'm paraphrasing just a bit, but just I don't know, like not realistic or whatever. Like whatever. Like, these guys are all available now, and Trevor, you already know where Carter Hart is going, man. You already know.
Yeah,
he's gonna play in our division. He's gonna be our biggest rival.
Yeah, that's.
You already know. It's gonna be a 1-year deal worth $1 million.
Man.
You already know. Stan Bowman special, man.
Yeah, that's that would really suit the Stan Bowman manager here. Look, I mean, it's obviously a very heavy situation. I heard about it a bit this morning that it sounded like that there was going to be no contest and they were going to be found not guilty. I haven't confirmed that yet, to be honest with you, but Kyle, you know more than me on that front.
I don't.
Yeah, if those guys become available, it's Carter Hart to the Edmonton Oilers just makes a ton of sense for them. Yeah, I'd be curious to see if it actually goes down. And the Oilers like bringing in their bad boys, man, whether it's Corey Perry or Evander Kane or now Carter Hart and, of course, Stan Bowman, right? And, there's varying degrees of controversies with all of those guys. And, yeah, I'd be curious to see how Carter Hart does after being out of hockey for a year, right? It's been a while, a year plus now. Mm-hmm. It's been a while for him, so... Yeah, man. I mean, it's maybe McDavid's last stand, right? So they got to make some bold moves too. Yeah,
it's gonna be a bold move, and I'm open to breaking the Oilers fans' hearts. Ironically, if the Canucks can actually prevail, and if they bring Mason McTavish in or not, maybe Filipino just like raises his game to the next level, and the Canucks, who like again, I don't want to say may fly under the radar, but if they don't find a 2C going into the season, I do feel like a lot of teams are gonna sleep on the Canucks or not take them seriously. Because again, if you look at their history and you look at the Pettersson saga too, you're like, this team's trash. This team is like a mushy middle Calgary Flames like team, and I wonder if early on in the season, because again, they still have Quinn Hughes, one of the best players in hockey, Demko, etc. Good defense. Maybe Pettersson does come back. I wonder if they can get off to a really good start in the season, considering that some teams will take them for granted, including the Edmonton Oilers.
Yeah, well, hopefully, man. It's I mean, last season the Canucks went in with some pretty lofty expectations and came nowhere close to meeting them. The season before, no one believed in them, and they had a pretty damn good season. So hopefully, we have a repeat of the summer of 2023. And I remember that, man. I remember recording with you when I was at my family lake house in Ontario for Thanksgiving, and like the Pettersson contract rumors, the Garland trade request, like all this noise, and then boom, the Canucks just come out firing. And you never know in sports, man. You really do. And again, we talked about it a lot. There's a lot of what ifs on this Canuck roster, but there's some potential for them to sneak up on some teams as well.
There is, man. Dude, they're Canucks fans, everyone hit the like button right now because I'm gonna tell you the truth right now. There is a 5% chance that the Canucks win the Stanley Cup next year. Okay, a 5% chance, and I say that because we had the best player in franchise history on our team. He happens to be a defenseman. Defenseman win championship. Sorry, Quinn Hughes is that damn good. If Lankinen and Demko are healthy, like that's dangerous. That's dangerous. Like teams can't match up against that. You're gonna have fresh goalies, a different approach. You're gonna have some of that internal competition. Philip Hronek is pretty damn good too. Marcus Pettersson's a good defenseman. Let's see how good DP can like step up. Like, are we going into January and is Tom Willander like dominating the AHL and gets called up and he's a top 4 piece? We've seen that story before. Like the defense could be stacked. And I know we have all these concerns like, Roslovic, your second line center, Filipino, your second line center, Teddy Blueger, your third line center. I know, but bro, boring teams have won championships in the past before. Like they've come out of nowhere. And I am all up for the Canucks to destroy the momentum of hockey. All this goal scoring, all this jazz and all this flamboyancy, like on the ice and whatnot, like all this entertainment. It's like, dude, let's just lock it down. Let's just master the 3-2 game, the 2-1 game again. Somehow, some way. It sounds like mission impossible, but the Devils did it in the past. And the Canucks did it too. And just to bring it back to the top of the point, it's like, I think early on teams will sleep on the Canucks, especially if they can't find a 2C. And this team will, if healthy, they'll take advantage of that, Trevor.
Hey, man. I'm hitting the round of applause button for you, man, to wrap up this episode, man. I love it, man. Let's go. Come on, man.
And not to make it personal or just about us, but we did bring up again the Hockey Canada sexual assault case and what's going down and how it's concluding, and just looking like the players will, get it. It's over. It's over. These players will move on, and there's an Adam Foote connection too, and not that he's the most important part of this whole equation, right? Because there's so many moving parts, but he's going to be less stressed as the bench boss for the Canucks. Like, there's going to be less questions about it.
It's a good.
I know it's crazy to think about, but like, or not, maybe not even appropriate to think about because again, there's so many moving parts, but it's like his son is going to be free. So he's in itself going to be more instinctual or like have his head in the game. Or like his head in his new job, his new position. Like this is a pretty big opportunity for Adam Foote, and I feel like there's less stress going into that situation now.
Yeah, I mean, I just hope in general the hockey world, like if these guys do get acquitted and they become available free agents, like just take some time. Like don't be signing these guys like 48 hours later. I think that's a bad look. I mean, they got found not guilty, but there's also a settlement in 2022, right? Which read into that what you will. So. I hope the hockey will take some time, man. Like what matters first is the people involved rather than the players for your hockey team, right? So, I hope everyone's take some time on that, and including the teams. I'm looking at you, Stan Bowman, including the teams that are looking to potentially sign.
They're signing Carter Hart. They're already at the press conference happening in 10 minutes. They actually got a private jet going to Ottawa. So,
the Coilers, man, the Coilers.
Yeah.
Unbelievable, man. Well, let's get out of here on Locked On Canucks. One love to you and you for tuning in. If you like what we're doing, go share it with a friend. Go like and subscribe on YouTube on the podcast side. Go follow us and leave a 5-star review. It might be late July, but we got your back here. Locked On Canucks. Your Canucks every day. Doing it with my twin, Kyle Bowen. Peace.
You're Locked On Canucks, your daily podcast on the Vancouver Canucks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.